Peace and love, everyone. It's Takesha, and you are watching another session of Black Women Who Blaze. I am here with a special guest. I refer to her really as the coach's coach. She just brings so much uh, mentorship, really, to the space for other coaches in really whatever industry. Yeah, and she has so many tools in her toolbox. And I can't wait for her to dive into all the things that she offers in her journey. And we met at the Cannabis Coaching Institute. So she is a fellow cannabis health coach. And this is Caress Fitch of Mindful Passions. Thank you for joining me today, Caress. I truly appreciate it. It's been a bit of back and forth getting you on. Can't we scheduling, but we did it. We're here.
Right. We're here. We're here. There have been lots of moving pieces moving around in both of our worlds and all of the world, actually. So,
Yes.
yeah, but we're here.
Yes, we are. And would you like to introduce yourself to the platform?
I would. I am Caress Fitch. I use she and they pronouns, and I'm the principal coach and one of the co-founders of Mindful Passions International. And we're currently in the middle of a rebrand, but I can tell you this, just a little sneak peek. We are a health and human potential company.
Wow. Wow, beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. I love that. And so, of course, this is Black Women Who Blaze. So, we are here to dive into cannabis and your cannabis journey. What brought you to it? What called you to it? How does it help you in your life daily? Do you consume daily? And, all the things. So, what state do you reside in right
I am a resident of the state of Washington.
now? Okay. Okay. And so, is
Yeah.
cannabis federally no, not federally, excuse me, state, recreational, legal and
Yes.
medicinal, or no?
We have both recreational for adult users 21 and up, and also medical for 18 and up, but 16 with some special provisions.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's right. And I'm glad that they specify that. I think that, that's a big thing because, well, we'll get into, what cannabis does for people, but it,
Yeah,
it can be helpful when consumed consciously with guidance for, multiple conditions that some of the younger generation deal with. So, but are you
exactly.
a medicinal patient?
I am. I am. And my entire reason for coming to cannabis as medicine was to find a way to treat multiple conditions. So I'm one of those people that gets to use cannabis to treat both the differences in how my brain operates. I'm a neurodiverse human. And this is one of the neurodiversity is one of the reasons that a lot of adolescents are looking to cannabis. So I'm thankful that I live in a state that's an option where kids can talk with their parents and with their healthcare providers to make that a medicinal choice for themselves. And then also, of course, using cannabis to treat chronic pain. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So, and then of course, cannabis being, like you said, being able to use for multiple purposes when it
Mhm.
comes to, health conditions and bringing balance back into the body. But you mentioned neurodiverse, and would you be able to elaborate just a little bit for the audience, for those of us who really don't know what that means?
Sure thing, sure thing. Neurodiversity it's a combination of two words. It's a combination of the word neuro, like the root word of neurology, meaning brain, and diverse, meaning many, different. And it really is a recognition of the fact that there are a lot of conditions that cause people's brains to function differently than we might consider the norm. But these are not diseases or disorders per se, it's a functional difference. And specifically, we started using this term talking about autism and autism spectrum conditions. But that term's been expanded to include any of the communication based disorders like dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, the some of the other higher functioning order conditions as well as depression and anxiety. Because when people have depression and anxiety for a long time, functional MRIs have shown that it changes your brain. It changes how your brain functions. So that gives you a neurodiverse brain.
Yes, yes. And it's amazing that you say that. I have watched the program and they were speaking to specifically how your thoughts and those things actually change the way your brain functions. It
Yes,
changes physically. And so I can
physically.
definitely, it definitely is plausible, like you said, for anxiety and depression to do that. And we see that in
Yeah,
real time. And then
we
to
do.
have access to a plant that can help in this area is amazing.
Yes, especially a plant that can help in this area and multiple areas without so many of the side effects that cause people to stop using other medications.
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree. So,
Yeah.
we'll get a little bit into your beginnings with cannabis. And so you say you consume it for medicinal purposes. So when did that start? Like, what was that like for you?
That started a couple of years ago, and it was a trying experience. I will say that. I was living in Texas at the time, and Texas has a very restrictive medical cannabis program. So it took a bit of hoop jumping
Yeah,
to actually get approved to even be able to try this medicine. And this was after I'd spent a couple of years trying to use over the counter CBD oil on my own and was having some success. I was having enough success that I was convinced
right.
that there was more promise to this plant and that maybe if I could get access to THC, then I could get some better results. And that is exactly what I experienced. But I did have to jump through some hoops in order to make that happen.
Okay, wow. And so you didn't come to cannabis like some people, experimenting when they're younger, you know what I mean, teenage,
Mm-mm.
all of that type of thing. So that wasn't that's not a part of your journey, your story. It's
It's not. I grew up military.
mm,
And, I grew up military in the 70s and 80s. Yes, I'm older than I look, but we'll get into that another time. So, in the 70s and 80s, this was the beginning of the war on drugs.
yeah,
So you combine military and the war on drugs, that means, oh, you touch that devil's lettuce, you're going to prison.
yeah.
So it was not something that I even considered.
Wow.
I had it in my mind that that was something that quote bad people did.
Right.
And of course, nobody wants to see themselves as a bad person. So I never even considered it.
Wow. Wow. Well, you know what? I mean, but that's not foreign. That's a lot
Yeah,
of people's story where, yeah, it was a no-no,
yeah,
and it was something like
yeah,
you said, we all were, conditioned to believe that it was harmful for you. It was, a gateway
exactly.
drug to, more, hardcore drugs and all of that, especially coming up as a teen. And like you said, in the 80s, I mean, that was the propaganda was very heavy.
It
Like you said,
was.
that war on drugs from the 70s to the 80s. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we see we're living with the aftermath now.
Yeah. And what it took to change my mind was going into anaphylactic shock in the emergency room after being given a dose of an opioid medication,
Wow.
learning that I had an opioid allergy so severe that I could die.
Wow. Wow. And to learn that at the hospital, they prescribed it to you. And
Yes. I learned it as they were injecting it into my vein.
whoa. And so from that point, that was a catalyst for you to seek more education and
Yeah.
info about cannabis.
Yes, to start researching because I knew there had to be something. I knew there had to be something. I believe very firmly that, yes, I individually am unique on this planet, but my experiences have been experienced by, in some way, by many other people. So somewhere, someone had to have had a similar experience as mine and was successful in finding relief. And that's what I wanted to find out. And that's when I started reading about cannabis and finding out that, oh, there are receptors in my body that are made for this stuff. And these are receptors that won't stop my heart and lungs if they get overloaded. Hmm, let me look into this.
Mhm. Right, right. I mean, and then it just opens up, once you start, it opens up the rabbit hole, really.
Literally, literally, you go down the rabbit hole. And now, yes, I am a daily consumer of cannabis. Now, for those of you watching, that doesn't mean that I am always consuming THC, because that's just one cannabinoid.
That's right.
And I enjoy this plant in many, many ways. Edibly,
Mhm.
taking orally as medication, and inhalation as well. It depends on what I need.
Right, right. And so
Oh,
what
and topically, can't forget that.
Right, of course, and even my doctor today was like, she was asking me because I said my hip, I'm starting to feel, some things in my
Mhm.
hip, and she was like, well, are you, I said I am a cannabis patient, medical cannabis patient. So
Mhm.
she was like, oh, okay, so are you rubbing any, CBD or whatever or what have you on there? So,
Yeah,
I was shocked that she was very, she was younger, so, but she's a bit more progressive than the rest, than some of them. But yeah,
yeah.
topically as well. And so, what have you found to be the most effective, when dosing and trying to figure out, because chronic pain is being listen. I can and chronic. It's not acute. This is not something that goes
Mm,
away. You don't feel it.
mm.
It comes and
This
it's
is
constant. It's
you.
like,
Mhm,
you
mhm. It
know,
may change intensity through the day,
right.
but it is a constant factor. It never completely goes away.
Yeah,
And so for me, cannabis is just one of my tools. The
right.
other tools, of course, are, movement and making sure that I'm getting enough sunlight and just being out in the world, getting that time in nature, keeping my stress levels under control, making sure I'm under control of what I'm eating and getting enough rest. And then the cannabis comes in with a little bit more complexity for me because I'm managing a lot.
That's
But my day basically looks like CBD in the morning, CBG and CBD in the afternoon, CBG in the evening, and THC at night.
right,
That's basically what my day looks like.
right. And that has been able to help you be more comfortable. You still feeling the pain, but you just are able to function, or is it eliminating it?
That's eliminating the pain.
Wow.
That is getting me to a point where I can walk without my cane,
Right.
where I can stand in my kitchen and wash dishes. I can go up and down the stairs to handle the laundry.
Mm,
I can sit at my desk and talk with you or a client for an hour or more at a time.
yeah. Yes.
It gives me my life back.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. I said it that, cannabis coming to cannabis in this way gave me back my independence because
Yeah.
I got to the point where I was dependent on everyone all the time, and then the anxiety level was up, you know,
Mhm.
and so it definitely, gave me that gift back, being from
Yeah.
New York, being the only child for most of my life. It was just like I was, Miss Independent, and then boom, you get hit with a diagnosis, and it's like, no,
Right.
no, no. But yeah, cannabis,
Yeah.
everything they couldn't figure it out. They didn't know what they said there was nowhere to treat it but like meclizine, something that was putting me down and putting me on this like
Mhm.
I can't function like this. So, that
Yeah,
was
I
out.
was offered methadone at one point, and I did no, let's not.
Right,
Let's not.
right.
That creates a whole new set of situations,
Yes,
including the now new need to explain to every future medical provider why you were on methadone but never addicted to heroin.
right. Mhm, mhm. Yes, yes. Yeah, so listen, I agree, and I knew that at that point it was, go for me. I had to make sure that I had access, and I had to
Exactly.
discover all the things, and that's what, after getting into advocacy work, self-advocating and all
Mhm.
of that, and then of course I saw the opportunity to help others do the same, and so that's
Exactly.
what led me to CCI. So how did you come to CCI, the Cannabis
I
Coaching Institute? Right.
I came to CCI through the community, the free community. I had seen on Facebook that they were doing a 3-day challenge.
Okay.
And I thought, well, this is really cool. I had heard about Cannabis Coaching Institute and the certification was on my wish list, but
Right.
I was in the middle of finishing another certification and I did not have time to
Right.
take on something else. But I thought, I have 3 days. I can spend 3 days brainstorming on how to add cannabis to the wellness portion of the business and that'll be okay.
Right.
So I spent 3 glorious days giving my all in this challenge. And then I won a scholarship because of my participation in the
Love
challenge
it. I
and
love
because I had gone all in. So, thanking the universe, showing lots of gratitude, I rescheduled a lot of things in my world to give myself the time to complete the program. And I did. And I'm so glad that I did. I'm
it.
so glad I did.
Yeah, yeah, and listen, I know all of us in the community are so glad that you did as well, and you joined because it was just you gave us so many great jewels,
Oh,
in
thank
while
you.
in the program and even afterwards, and just so
Yeah.
helpful, in the coaching space, guiding others
Yeah.
and always being mindful and considerate of everyone that participates. Like we
Exactly.
do get, and that's just a conditioned you know mindset where we only think one track and really self-centered you know
Mhm.
and so you help to
Mhm.
remind us that no, you have to be diverse and inclusive.
Thank you. Thank you. That is one of my missions in life because everyone deserves to be seen and heard.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly the point of this platform. Is because we definitely need to be seen and heard in the space, in the
Exactly.
wellness space, in the advocacy space, in the cannabis industry. We can bring all of the skills and tools that we have and apply this plant, to our already, built businesses or built
Exactly. Or building one, or
right.
building one. And I'm seeing that a lot of the people coming into any certification program, CCI and any of the others,
Yes.
we've got a lot of first-time business owners
Mhm.
coming into coaching as their first entrepreneurial venture.
Yes. Yes, and that was the thing. It's like because you do if you're a first time entrepreneur and first time coach, you're learning two different industries, and two different,
You are.
skill sets, really. And it's just
You
like, wow,
are.
it can be overwhelming. Um,
It can be.
and so
And
you
that's
came through and provided us with something to help us.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause one of the things that I keep noticing is in the last few years, I've done a lot of coaching certifications for my own development, but I can't help but notice that all of these programs assume that you already know how to structure your business and that you're already set up with everything that you need to take coaching as a tool. and just plug it right into your business.
Right.
And so this pandemic created a situation where we have a lot of people realizing that they have gifts to share with the world, and they're taking the time to get certifications and start sharing their gifts, but they're coming from a mindset of either being stay-at-home parents or they've only ever been employed.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurship is completely new to them. This idea of being their own boss, of being a business owner, is completely foreign.
Yes. 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 And so how long have you been an entrepreneur?
Oh, wow. Do I have to really give a number? Can we just say my entire adult life?
Right. Right. We can. We can. We can.
Yeah. And in that time, I've worked as a business owner with businesses of every size, from the little bitty side hustle just to get a little walking around money, all the way up to this is my full time income.
Right.
And during all of this, I've raised 4 children
Wow.
and learned to live with chronic pain.
Right.
And actually, let me roll this back just a little bit. I've raised 4 neurodiverse children
Wow. Wow.
and learned to live with chronic pain
Wow.
while building successful businesses, either on the side or, well, on the side, because being a parent, frankly, is a full time
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Anything else I do was a side gig,
It is.
whether it was paying full time dollars or not. So, yeah.
It is. It is. It is. So I agree. And so, what have you found now that you have, you know, got your certification and now you're, guiding others, with your own experience because your journey propelled you to say, hey, this worked for me,
Hmm.
and this, information needs to be brought to the masses and brought to my, you've already built a client base. Um,
Exactly.
and so, I
Exactly.
mean,
Yeah.
incorporating it in what you do offer, even and like you say, you're going through a whole, revamp, but what you do offer at Mindful Passions, incorporating cannabis, it just seemed like it fit right in.
It does. It fits right in. When we get down to the meaning of mindful passions, why did we start this company? To help people be more chill,
Right.
because that's the experience that people most often reported after working with any of us.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter what I came to you for, what the problem was, no matter what we were going to be working on, the first thing you did was make sure I was chill. Because
Yeah.
once someone's nervous system has settled down, we can move forward. If you're
That's
in a panic, there's not so much that I can do,
right.
but we help people find their chill, because then you can look forward to what's next.
Yes.
And cannabis can be very helpful in finding one's chill, regardless of what aspect of your life you're looking at.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. I
And
agree.
some people need to find their chill for health and wellness reasons, bring that blood pressure down.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, yeah, me included. Me,
Yeah,
me included. So like you said, it helps with a numerous amount of, diagnoses.
it
And
does.
when you find the right cultivar and the right cannabinoid and the right, terpene profile for you and what it is that you need, intentionally using it for,
Exactly.
it helps.
Exactly.
It definitely helps. And so,
Using cannabis to reach your goals without the side effects that you don't want. Pretty simple.
yes, yes, yes. And so, getting into now, now that you're complete and you have this offer. Like I said,
Mhm.
if anyone can't tell when she says helping you get to your chill, her name is Caress. Like this, what more? What more? can she
And
say?
a voice made for late night radio.
Okay, so what more can she say? But, you know, helping you find your chill, guiding you in cannabis consumption, and a host of other things that she can get into. But um then you came up with, you saw, like I said, you coach's coach, you came up with something I feel like everybody could use, really. Everybody could use for themselves, for task management and keeping those
Mhm.
things in track, but also to help you with your own clients. And can you tell us what that is?
Awesome, awesome. Yes, that is the Coach Pro Toolkit. I have been a longtime fan of a project management platform called Trello, and it's so flexible that you can use it for pretty much anything. I use it with my clients for them to track their habits. And then I realized, wait a second, seeing all of these coaches coming out that are still trying to get their businesses organized and get their businesses set up, they could use a little bit of help. So I created a toolkit that includes some tools to help you get your business set up to answer the questions that are most common and have a place to store that frequently used information, as well as some workflows that work you through some best practices for just working and living and combining your business with your life.
Yes, yes. Yes, and we can find that on your website. Now, I'll be sharing the website in the description, but you can find and get access to the Coach Pro Toolkit. And trust me, at this price for what she's given, you got to grab it because the organization is it's just necessary. Like I didn't realize until I started to, pull it all together after you're
Mhm.
pulling all your guides and what trying to keep track of what this person's supposed to do, their action
Yeah.
steps, and then you write your little follow-up and what they should do next, and your reflections. I have all of these different everything's everywhere, and it's just it was too much. Even trying to put, I guess some people, oh, Google file it and stuff like that. It just is not the same.
Even those they can easily get lost.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people that, I firmly believe that every once in a while when we go to sleep at night, things that we have stored in our minds fall out through our ears and disappear under the bed. But to make sure that I don't forget,
Yeah.
I need flexible systems that I can put pretty much anything into. And this toolkit stands in that space for me. It lets me have a space to just, oh, here's a thing I've created, here's a thing I've thought or decided about my business or my life or my health or anything at all. And now I have a spot that I can put it. And I can even make it a graphical representation. So there's a picture attached to it to really increase my engagement with it. And that makes this just a very powerful, powerful tool.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I agree. So, all the coaches out there or the would be soon to be coaches, it's definitely something you should have and set
Mhm.
yourself up. I agree.
Definitely.
So I want to move into advocacy a little bit. And that would, I would go into prohibition and, how
Mhm.
it has affected you. And you mentioned that early on in your journey, you lived in Texas where it was very restrictive. And so I could see
Yes.
how that part of prohibition, you know, could hinder, could be a barrier to success when it comes to your wellness. And, at some point you obviously left. And is that when you were able to get access more openly?
No.
No.
No. I've lived about 20 to 25, 27 years total in Texas,
Oh, wow.
but not continuously.
Okay.
Not continuously. There were stints where I would leave and go live and work someplace else for a while and then come back.
Okay.
And so I have lived in Colorado during the time that it was recreationally legal as well as medically legal.
Okay.
So I did have experiences to, or an opportunity to experience there. I've also lived in Nevada, and in Nevada, it is also legal there.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I have had opportunities to live in various places. And granted, even though I grew up on mostly military bases, a lot of them were in California. And so even though there's this big overall rule, cannabis bad, don't do, you could still occasionally get a passing exposure to someone else consuming cannabis in the area around the base.
Right.
So, but I never partook because that was just not a thing that I was supposed to do, I
Right.
believe.
Right. Right. And so,
Yeah.
and coming to it older, do you think that that helped with you being more receptive, or was it truly just the fact that, listen, I have to try this because I don't want to go to anything else? You know, did you still feel
It
like the stigma was there and you were hesitant?
I okay, let me back up. Okay. It started out as I have to find some kind of relief. It was that desperation. I am willing to do anything, even if it's illegal. That's that was where I was. And then I started to research because I'm very hesitant to put anything into this one body that I have got without having some idea of what might happen as a result.
Right.
And as I started to research and started to learn that, oh, wait a minute. So this is a plant. That's all it's a plant that has medicine that didn't used to be illegal, but is now illegal.
Right.
And if I go to the library, I can find old time magazines that have advertisements for cannabis tincture and how everybody has it. What happened? And that started me trying to find ways of promoting access. And yeah, it has been a long journey. And the logical piece of it has been on my mind my entire adult life. Back when my only other email account was an AOL.com address, there is an advocacy organization called hempseed.com. It was a very early website, and their entire purpose was to get people to sign up for a free email address with the hempseed.com domain as an act of rebellion to
Mm,
get hemp made federally legal again.
wow.
And this was before you could buy CBD over the counter. So, hey, I rocked that hempseed.com email address proudly. And that was before I'd ever consumed cannabis. Just even at a logical standpoint, the prohibition didn't make sense to me.
Right.
It didn't make sense.
Right, right. And so, as far as federal legalization, what are your hopes for it? Do you think that you see this new bill that's been introduced to the Senate? Um, and do you think that there'll be any traction? Are there some things you would like to see in place beforehand? Like what are your thoughts?
That's such a big question.
I know.
Such a big question. In a lot of ways, we just want to say that yes, ending federal prohibition would just poof, all the problems would go away.
Right,
I used to work in the legal industry. I know it's not going to be that easy, and I know it's not going to be that clean. And I know that ending federal prohibition is only a piece of the puzzle. We
right.
still have this entire tangled network of separate state run fiefdoms around cannabis that need to be looked at. Because if we're now going to put cannabis into a similar position as, say, alcohol
Mhm.
in terms of licensing and regulation and control, the industry is not set up for that. The industry is not ready for that.
Right,
So there's, we've got federal prohibition has made a mess of things. These are all circumstances that happened because of federal prohibition. The states decided to act as they're permitted to,
right.
as they're permitted to. So we're either going to get to a point where we've either got to federally remove prohibition and the federal government is going to try and exert some kind of control, or we let the states do what the states are going to do and the federal government just steps completely out.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm sure there's some hybrids in there that I haven't even begun to think about because I'm not an economist.
Right. That's right.
But it's just it's a big situation, and we can eat this elephant one bite at a time.
Right, right. And everybody says, of course, legalize it. Everybody's pushing, but like you said, there's some things that it's too many moving pieces and
Yeah.
you know,
We haven't even talked about equity. We haven't even talked about restorative justice.
mm-mm, right,
Yeah, there's
right.
there's a lot. There is a lot that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, because even states, like you said, have done it to me a bit backwards. They premature,
Mhm.
recreational legal, but people are still imprisoned.
Yes.
We don't have a program,
Yeah,
a way for them to anything. And so how does
exactly.
this work? Now you want to move into legal sales and people
Mm-mm.
getting, MSOs and licenses and all of this, and people are still in prison. And like you
Yes,
said, this is
people need to be out of prison, and the people who are in prison need to be given a pathway to the legal cannabis industry,
right,
period.
right, and
That's it.
yes,
These are the OGs that are probably responsible for a lot of the strains that are out there
yes,
now.
yes, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah. So there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot to be done prior,
there is a lot.
if they were going to do it right. But we are talking about the US. So it is what it is.
And in some ways, there's an argument to be made for doing something rather than doing nothing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because if at least we're doing something, we have something to correct at the
Right.
very least.
Right. Right.
Still exhausting for me to think about, so I'm gonna leave that alone.
Right, exactly. Right, because the one thing also about making it, legal federally, and ending prohibition is what happens to the medicinal aspect of it. Because I
Yes,
already see the recreational, but the longevity is in the medicinal. At
it
that,
is.
you know, it's in the
It
medicinal.
is.
So yeah,
It
yeah, I
is.
agree.
And the other issue that really bothers me about prohibition as well is that because the plant was prohibited for so long, breeders were breeding for potency, not balance.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And so, now me as a cannabis patient, if this had been 100 years ago, I could have used one plant possibly to source my medicine. And instead now I have to get different plants because we with our science, I love science. I really do. I really, really do. I love science.
I know.
But there is a time when we have to just say, have we done enough?
Right. It's like
Was
how
it okay when it started? Did we actually have to change it?
are you making lavender more lavendery? Like I don't see you doing that with, every single it's like how much more, like you said, for me now I have to source, cultivars that are not high in THC potency. That doesn't work for
Yeah.
me. But
Yeah.
they were breeding for profit, obviously, because, you
Yes.
know, and
Yes. And THC was the prized cannabinoid because that's the one that most people can feel the most acutely.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, they love the we love euphoria, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I came across this awesome audio book I've been listening to.
Mhm.
And it's called Pleasure Activism. Have you ever heard of it?
I have. I
Right,
have.
right. And so she dives
Yes.
into her cannabis consumption, you know, as a tool to help her, not just
Mhm.
in that area, but just like you said, being able to balance, mood disorders, chronic
Yes.
pain, and all of that, it helps you to enjoy, pleasure,
It helps you to enjoy pleasure and
and
being
experience it.
able to just exist without pain, without your brain telling you stories about yourself that are not true. Those are acts of pleasure themselves.
Right,
But there's so much about our modern culture that takes that away from people. And so we're instead of seeking pleasure that balances us, we're getting into things that are more, I don't want to use the word addictive because there's a lot of judgment associated with the word addictive.
right.
But I want to say that we're getting into things that are developing us in a single-minded focus instead of developing us in more broad, well-rounded ways.
Yeah, yeah, right. And like you said, but yeah, broad spectrum and full spectrum ways. Like you said, it's just,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And so, what would you advise other Black women who consume cannabis?
Mhm.
Maybe not, they're consuming discreetly, because they maybe live in an area that they really can't, gauge access. Like, and they're dealing with
Yeah.
chronic pains or some type of condition, you know, what would be your advice to them?
My advice is to explore all the cannabinoids that you have access to. THC is super, super helpful, but it's not the only one. CBG is very, very helpful, especially when you're dealing with a chronic pain that's a nerve-based pain, and that's federally legal. Same thing with CBD.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
I agree. Coming from, I would say the illicit and illegal market, sourcing it there, it was all THC,
yeah,
and that's all you may be aware of. But
right. But there's actually federally legal stuff out there that can be super, super helpful. But yeah, they can be also a little bit harder to find,
yeah,
depending on where you live. Like on the West Coast, having it shipped to your house is not a big deal. You can actually, mail order in a scent-proof bag and all of that. And you can have those same THC-free products shipped to you anywhere in the country, but it seems to be getting a little bit iffy.
yeah,
Sometimes the packages don't always arrive, and
right.
so that concerns me.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
concerns me. So I'm going to bring it all back to community. Go with who you know.
Mhm.
Trust your no, go with sources that you know and trust.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I agree. You
Yeah.
definitely want to know your source, and with, conscious consumption, first know what it is that you need it for, and then you can
Mm-hmm.
intentionally consume it. Seek out guidance. You have people like myself
Yes.
and Caress available to help
Yes.
you, and for any of us that are looking to enter the industry, what would be your advice with getting involved, in this space? It's not for the faint of heart. We know, but
It is not. It
right,
is not.
how should you
It's a
prepare
whole
yourself?
lot of put on your big person pants, and there's a lot of soul searching that you got to do. And when you are passionate and ready to be an advocate, then come on in. We'll welcome you with open arms. But the advocacy has to be the second half of your business.
Yeah,
This is not a field for you if you are looking for something that you can just step into and have running immediately without any hiccups. This is for, we're still in that OG stage where everybody who is here is already ride or die for the plant anyway. So, and if that is you,
Yes, if that is you.
if that is you, come on, we need your voice.
This is true. I agree. I agree because, not only are you advocating for yourself, especially when consuming it for your own health and well-being, you know, but now
Yeah,
as you get involved because, I think we're called to get involved because we want to make sure that it doesn't become, something that is not reflective of the community and the people who have
mhm,
that connection with the plant. Something that's
right.
not representative of what she does for us, you know?
That's
And so
right. That's
that's
right.
why we speak up.
To get rid of that stigma, to make it possible, it would have been amazing if, absent prohibition and absent all of the other things, if 15 years ago, when I first started having major problems with my health, I could have said, I am a software engineer and I am a cannabis user, and not have it be a big deal. But instead, I never had that option because every single employer was insisting on anybody but working for them passing a drug test.
That's right.
Every single employer. I would have lost my livelihood.
Right. And so you have to choose between wellness and
Mhm.
your livelihood. How
And
how do
that's
you
not
have a
a choice
livelihood
anyone
without
should have to make.
right,
Yeah,
right,
exactly. Exactly. So if you are already somebody who is passionate about cannabis and you have it in you to be an advocate, then I would say, come on, we
right.
need you. We
You
need you. If you're not there yet, it's okay. It's not your time.
yeah.
Hold on. We're going to pave the way and then you'll be able to come along.
Right, right. I agree. Well, I thank you so much for your time and sharing your wisdom, sharing all the experience that you've had with the plant, the Coach Pro toolkit for all of us that are, coming into the coaching space and that you've already been operating in and
Mhm.
you've had all the experience and you pulled this together for us and then so many other offers but that you have that I know at another time we can have you on and you can share definitely all the other offers and we can get into some other yummy things with cannabis as well but I appreciate your time. I definitely wanted to
Mhm.
take this time to have you come on and share space with you because you've
Thank
given us so
you.
much, you've given me so much really, and I appreciate that. And so
Thank
all
you.
of
I
her,
didn't get here on my own, so now it's time for me to pay it forward.
thank you, and all of your contact info will be in the chat. Not the chat, the description. I always put the chat, but in the description. And but how could they reach out to you if they want access to the toolkit or even some coaching?
Awesome. You can reach me at mindfulpassions.co, not com, .co. And the Coach Pro Toolkit is at mindfulpassions.co/Coach Pro.
Great, great. And so, if you are a Black woman who consumes cannabis for your health and well being, and you have a story that you want to tell and share how it has helped you in your wellness journey, or you are in the industry as an employee and want to share how you were able to navigate the space and or decided to be an entrepreneur, reach out to me and I will have you on the platform. The more of us that speak out about what we're doing, it provides us the visibility that we need, to have more of us come on in with our skill sets because it's an industry that's really, starting out and needs all the things that an industry needs, as well as if you're dealing with any body breakdown and you need some guidance in your cannabis consumption, you have two cannabis health coaches right here ready to share how we were able to do it and show you how you can do it for yourself. Okay, so peace and love, everyone. And until next time, subscribe, like, and share, and we will speak to you soon.